Doug, what are the plans to help with the rescue efforts that you saw today?
This right here is a 4-lane boulevard, Jimmy Johnson Boulevard. Yes, named after legendary Dallas Cowboy coach Jimmy Johnson. He's from Port Arthur. It is a complete and utter lake tonight. In the distance, we can see a Coast Guard chopper. It's behind our veteran photojournalist Scott Pace, who's at the head of the boat. One of the many residents of this is actually, I think, Nederland, or Port Neches proper, is Reese Guidry. This is his boat. He was kind enough to take us out today. Now the rescues have really kind of subsided to this point. If they're in here, it's because they still want to be in here. How many people in the last few days have you plucked out of these neighborhoods?
Probably about 200, 250 people just in this boat.
Just in this boat. We're going to talk a little bit more with Reese here in just a minute. We spent time today, we have a little video we can show you, traveling with the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office, their swift water rescue team, just in the event that that's needed. And we came all the way down I-49, had to kind of take a back way into Caddo Parish just to make it in here. Now, we had a moment once we got here, a lot of those guys, Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office is here, Shreveport Fire Department, Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office, they're kind of still waiting for their marching orders. However, the Caddo Sheriff's Office did go out earlier today. They did a few rescues, but tonight their mission may change. Here's Sheriff Prater.
And we were lining out the different security functions, whether it be patrol or whether it be shelters or what they might need, and especially now with evacuations, we're trying to get the 1,700 people out of different shelters that we have, trying to get food and water into them. And so it's just been a lot to deal with.
Whatever you want to do. We can keep going. All right, that's the sheriff, and they're actually going to be perhaps stationed at a shelter in South Port Arthur. Again, we are now in Port Neches. Guys, I used to live in this area about 19 years ago, specifically in some apartments not too far from here. It is just, even for me, almost unrecognizable what we're seeing out here. We're about 5 feet up above this water. We see a number of people that are still here. These cars, their days are done. A number of people we still see out on balconies here. This is some of the worst that this area has seen. Still a few rescues going on. You can see a car down there that's barely above the water. We're going to give you a little bit more of this, talk a little bit more with our buddy Reese here, who was kind enough to take us out today. Coming up in just a few minutes, live in Port Neches, Texas. Doug Warner, KSLA News 12. Dominique. Hey, good evening, Dominique. A lot of hurry up and waiting for a number of our first responders here. These are the boats from Bossier Parish Swiftwater Rescue from the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office. Haven't left the trailer yet. It's kind of a fortunate thing because a lot of the rescues have taken place, but new marching orders go out for everyone. Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, Shreveport Fire, Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office, you name it. A lot of them have assimilated here in Port Arthur, where the Louisiana Sheriff's Association kind of set up for it. They're the ones that made the called. So you'll see nothing but Louisiana folks in this one area of Port Arthur. New Orleans Fire just pulled up here just a couple of hours ago. So while they hurry up and wait, today we took the opportunity, along with veteran photojournalist Scott Pace, we went into some of the flooded neighborhoods here in the Beaumont, Port Arthur, Orange area. Another sunset and flood-ravaged Port Arthur, Texas. It's met with a little excitement for the kids. Visitors from far away delivering meals to get these families through another night. The same families left with no choice but to sift through endless garbage bags of clothing dropped off at a shelter. Visitors from above were all over, this time medic and Coast Guard keeping close watch over the flooded waters of nearby Port Neches.
That car was completely submerged.
This 4-lane boulevard, named after legendary Dallas Cowboy football coach Jimmy Johnson, some 5 feet beneath Reese Guidry's boat. But seemingly of little concern to this group of looky-loos in their souped-up monster truck.
No, the reality is this is complete devastation for our community. It's terrible. The day that Harvey hit, it probably took a combined 6 to 7 hours for it to really be life-threatening.
With water in hundreds of homes here.
I think we were one of the luckier ones here. I mean, we did get water in the house, but it has receded from our house.
Brittany Morse got a ride back to her home to get one of her family members she had left behind.
Show him that lizard. She had to stay behind. We couldn't bring her. So
what's your lizard's name?
Her name is Tina. She's a bearded dragon.
A family reunited and all smiles because they fought the battle and take comfort in each and every victory. Find something to smile about even at a time like this. I mean, how do you even digest this whole thing?
Try to make the best of it. I mean, we got family and friends, so that's all you need, really.
And the family lizard got that little booger out of the water. She had the pet dogs. They came with them the first go round, but they had to wait and go back to get the lizard. Reese, very kind of him to take us out. He's actually a friend of mine. I used to live in this area some 18, 19 years ago, so I got a little bit of a lay of the land. Couldn't believe I actually used to live in some apartments on Jimmy Johnson Boulevard. Just amazing to see it look the way it did. Reese said he rescued some 250 people yesterday alone, and he was back out there at it again even after he took us on a quick tour of that flooded out area. Live tonight in Port Arthur, Texas, Doug Warner, KSLA News 12. Dominique.
Good noon to you. I'm Adria Goen. Several search and rescue crews from the Arklatex are helping fellow emergency crews in southeast Texas look for people who are trapped. One of those crews is the Shreveport Fire Department. Our own Doug Warner is with the firefighters in Port Arthur. Doug, what's going on right now?
Well, we had caught up with Shreveport Fire Department on another part of Port Arthur. As you can see, we're literally in right now about knee-high water when they were clearing other neighborhoods. We're going to keep the camera on these guys as much as possible. They got a call to come over here, a 911 call, concerned about maybe an elderly person in a home. In a sense, this is kind of like a second door knock. They're going through, checking, clearing, making sure everything is okay. But some kind of 911 call came in here. And sorry, a little out of breath. It's been a workout walking through this water. And so they've been responding to some of these calls, and that's what they're doing here. Do you tell me, I mean, earlier you were doing the same thing in another neighborhood, and so now it's a process of going out and just documenting each of these homes that you check.
That's affirmative. What we're doing is they have reports of possible rescues at some point in time during this particular emergency. Nobody documented if they were rescued or not. So what we're doing a second search. We're going just to make sure everybody's out, and we have to document the type of damage to that resident, how bad it really looks and whatnot, stuff like that.
And that's important. I mean, and down to the point that you're taking pictures of these homes because you don't want anybody missed in this process.
That's affirmative. We're trying to do, it's a particular app they come out with, and we're trying it out, and it's heavily documented from pictures to damages to square footage just by taking a picture.
Why do you do this? I mean, here you are. You're not even doing this. You're part of urban search and rescue in another state, 4 or 5 hours away.
I was called upon. This is what I'm here to do. With Shreveport Fire Department, we're here to help everybody in the city of Shreveport, as well as our neighbors and neighboring communities and neighboring states.
All right, firefighter Logan Kerr, thank you for what you do. All these guys, what they're doing, keeping in constant radio communication, where there's like a main command center that's kind of really been dispatching them out. We've seen firefighters from Nacogdoches here. We followed them on a response last night on a fire. We saw a crew that was working a shelter from the Dallas area. So this is truly, when you hear about mutual aid, well, sometimes a neighboring city might help the other one. This is like neighboring states helping one another on a grand scale. Again, this is a flooded neighborhood, literally water up to where we're standing, a little deeper, up to over our knees. Shreveport's finest right here, walking the flooded streets of Port Arthur, and we're here right with them every step of the way. We've got live reports coming up a little later on this afternoon, not only on Facebook, as this continues to develop on the KSLA News 12 Facebook page, but also coming up at 5 and 6 o'clock. We're going to continue walking this. If anything develops, we'll holler back at you. We're going to probably return to KSLA News 12 Facebook page in a bit. This is Shreveport Fire Department we're walking with live in Port Arthur. Doug Warner, KSLA News 12. Guys, back to you.
Today marks day 2 of local law enforcement agencies helping Harvey victims in South Texas. Many of them located here in Port Arthur. That's where we find KSLA News 12's Doug Warner. Doug, what's been going on today as you guys are in day 2 of those rescue missions?
Things have really picked up. Missions have been handed out. In fact, as we stand here in Port Arthur right now, it's kind of a joint mission. We got Beaumont Parish Sheriff's Office. Their Swiftwater Rescue Team is actually paired up with the Shreveport Search and Urban Search and Rescue Team, that they've kind of come together. We spent a lot of time with this group with the Shreveport Fire Department earlier today. We'll get into that at 5 o'clock. We hit some flooded neighborhoods. We actually went inside this flooded out hotel with them a little while ago. We're going to get all into that in just a bit. They're actually, right now, I can tell you, in those flooded apartments, the Stone Creek apartments, you can see where those guys are walking knee deep, but you go back in there, you're talking waist deep water. Some people in this floor, second floor, third floor and up, they're fine. But hey, you got to think about it. They're running out of water. They're running out of food. Some of these places, kind of weird that they still have power on, but who's to say how long that power even will stay on if it is. We're going to keep watching that situation. While we want to show you this, we have some video we can show you right now of one of the shelters. They've had a half dozen shelters in this area that was shut down. In fact, I'm getting word some of the people that were taking out of this bowling alley shelter and some of the others could be headed to Shreveport. We're going to try to confirm more of that information. But this is a bowling alley that became a makeshift shelter when the regular Civic Center shelter took on water the other day. We found one of Caddo Parish Sheriff deputies in there working security.
Initially, the mission was search and rescue. We were coming out here knocking on doors, walking through water, asking people if they needed to be evacuated, stuff like that. But then as the disaster evolved, the mission evolved. And it went from one of search and rescue to one of more of, basic policing and security and stuff like that. So.
And coming up at 5 o'clock, we're going to talk more with the Shreveport Fire Department. We went into some of those flooded out neighborhoods live at noon, live on Facebook. You can go to KSLA News 12 Facebook page and go watch real time as we went through some of those flooded neighborhoods. All right, coming back live here, we have zoomed far into those apartment complexes. You see those red boats coming back, yellow helmets. That is some of the Bossier Sheriff's Office Swiftwater rescue teams. Their boats really in the water for one of the first times since they've been here, again teaming up with some of the Shreveport firefighters. So very unique to see Bossier and Shreveport working together here in Port Arthur, Texas. We're going to keep watching that situation. They bringing anybody out? Guys, they bringing anybody out? Don't know? All right, they're going to walk out there and try to meet them. We're going to keep watching that situation, perhaps even come back with us here in a minute if we get word on any rescues made at this apartment complex. Live in Port Arthur, Doug Warner, KSLA News 12.
Tonight, my co-anchor Doug Warner shares their story of how they continue to lend a helping hand to those in need.
Hey, somebody write down this address. Dickie, write down that address. Let me go talk to Coach Boyd.
Dispatched to Vera Street in Port Arthur for Shreveport Fire Urban Search and Rescue Team. Out come the maps.
Go back forward fast. You explain it to us.
Yep. All right.
We followed, and within minutes, this crew of 5 was knee and thigh deep in water on a 911 call of an elderly man possibly alone in a flooded home.
Did Jesse and...
But they found no one. Every call, you want it to be a successful one. Was this a successful one?
Yes, it was. As long as somebody wasn't left behind, it was successful.
This Shreveport search crew checked a few more homes in this neighborhood, and then another similar call came in from neighbors concerned about neighbors.
It's logged in as somebody possibly trapped or needing assistance out.
We were greeted in that neighborhood by a thankful Port Arthur assistant mayor who personally gave his thanks his city was getting much needed help from strangers.
I've told them I appreciate the service they're giving us, the concern, the love, and the hard work, dedication.
Move back over on grid 20.
This is mutual aid on a grand emergency scale. The radio call, the map, and then the next stop, a flooded hotel. First floor, power's off. Everybody's on the second and third, so now Shreveport Fire Department's going in, taking a head count of everyone there, just kind of making sure that they're okay. We're going to take a look inside.
They got power?
Yep.
Here, Shreveport Fire discovered 24 still inside with power and some water, but for how long? On a number of these calls, volunteers with boats following us and helping knock on doors, helping however they could.
Why are you here?
Because God said love your neighbors, and that's what we're doing. This is the way we're showing.
Like Rebecca, who drove here with friends from near Fort Worth to volunteer and to give thanks. A firefighter over there seemed to be really more moved to see you guys, and they see what you're doing, and they truly appreciate you helping them.
Man, we're just a small smidgen of what's going on down here. They're the true heroes.
These people, they have boats, and they're willing to lend us their boats and help us to do our search better than we can. So, man, that's
pretty awesome.
That is awesome. That is just breathtaking. And that's why I was telling that lady, she's like, y'all are heroes. I said, no, ma'am, it's really you.
And you can see more of Doug's coverage in Port Arthur on our KSLA News 12 Facebook page. It's coverage you can click on.